Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of the AMC Breaking Bad spin-off prequel series, Better Call Saul. This week's review will be reviewing the episode Nacho. And real quick, before we get into that, I wanted to show off something completely unrelated to that. Well, almost. They're on the same network. I just got a new Walking Dead t-shirt. I'm not sure if you guys seen me post, I think it was either on Facebook or Twitter, about some shirts I got, like a Marvel Universe one, and there's a Godzilla one I got too. I think I showed it in one of my videos earlier in the week. But yeah, I just got a new Walking Dead one here. I'll bring it a bit closer. If the webcam decides to focus, then it focuses. If not, there you go. So yeah. As you can see, Rick and Daryl are in the middle of that, surrounded by quite a few walkers. I think this is sort of like based from like the very beginning of Season 3 when they were first clearing out the prison of walkers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Season 3 is one of my favorite seasons. Could be my favorite season, either that one or Season 2, personally. But we can talk about that in another video completely. But right now we're here to talk about Better Call Saul, the episode Nacho, as I said before. And it was a really good episode, man. This show is like really getting a lot of momentum for me. Like hell, I even changed my cover art on YouTube and included a picture of Saul in it now, since I'll be doing videos on the show every week. I figure I should have it as that part of it, as like a mainstay for the channel. So yeah, that's how much confidence I have in the show now, because 3 episodes in a row, 3 very solid and, like I said, consistent qualities, from each episode we've gotten, we get this, sort of like dark comedic factor, we see in like the earlier areas of Breaking Bad, sort of like in Season 1 and stuff like that. But then at the same time, we get some pretty good drama as well, which, really makes you think it's in the same world and stuff like that, which of course it is. So they're playing that off really well. And then at the same time, it reminds you of Breaking Bad, but yet it's, it's kind of its own entity here. It's its own, sort of like, its own criminal, we should say, as cheesy as that probably sounds. Really, this show reminds you of Breaking Bad. It gives you that nostalgia kind of factor if you really miss the show. But at the same time, it gives you a completely different feeling, because this the style of how they're presenting Saul's story is quite a bit different. And I, for one, am enjoying it quite a bit. So, yeah. Okay, so besides the minus rambling, raving, praising about the show I just gave, whatever you want to call it, as far as the specifics of this episode, it was a pretty straightforward one, but I don't mean that in a bad way at all. By straightforward, I mean that it kind of just focused on like one part of the story, like one part of the arc we have going here. I guess you could say, I don't know if it's an arc, but they kind of zoomed in on like one side of everything, and that was with, of course, the Kettlemans. Of course, after Saul, is getting a little bit more integrated with Nacho and stuff last week after his encounters with Tuco and such. We find out that the Kettlemans were actually pretty much kidnapped, or supposedly. Of course, there's a huge, spoiler warning in the title of this video. So if you're gonna comment and say I spoiled this episode or ruined it for you, just look down, please, or however you're watching this video, just look at the title. But anyway, so the Kettlemans supposedly get kidnapped, and then, Saul's going around actually acting. He actually has a conscience on the show, because on Breaking Bad, we see him, he's sort of like devoid of that. And, we see him, he's so good at his job, he doesn't, care about going over these lines and stuff like that. He's a lot more cold and, uncaring and stuff like that. But on this, we see he was actually a decent guy. And even though he really gets going on his little detective stint here, because, his life is basically threatened by Nacho if he doesn't clear Nacho's name within the next 24 hours by finding out who really took the Kettlemans. because you see when Saul was trying to get a hold of Nacho. Saul, again, I keep on saying Saul, I should be saying, deep breath, guys. I should be saying Jimmy, but I'm going to call him Saul once in a while. It's just going to happen. It's just what's going to happen, unfortunately. So, Jimmy calls, he's calling on for Nacho on these, payphones and stuff like that. And then, of course, the cops track that, and then there are at least two supposed thugs that are starting to slowly walk towards Jimmy when he's on the phone. Then Jimmy sort of goes down the alley and then he starts running, and then you see the two guys starting to run after him, and then they're all cut off by a cop car coming into the alley, and he's like, oh thank God, and then they put him to the ground and handcuff him. And that's the part you've seen from some of the previews before the show started. My name is McGill, James McGill, and so that was really funny. Why is it when Saul has such bad luck, it's hilarious? At times, anyway. Other times it can be pretty serious and sort of depressing, but this time it was hilarious, and so that was really good. And then when Saul is brought down there, he explains he's a lawyer, and but then he's brought to Nacho, who is actually picked up himself beforehand as well. And so Nacho asks for his lawyer, and apparently, that's Saul. Or Jimmy, I should say. I'll never get used to that, at least not for a while. But, and so Jimmy and Nacho sort of negotiate here, and, they're basically, what's basically happening here is that Nacho's sort of at, a standstill, and he's sort of just, staring at Saul, or... I'm just going to do it, guys. I'm not going to correct myself all the time, even though I probably will anyway. But Jimmy is just sort of, talking and, going through all these different strategies and stuff like that they can use. At most he explains that he can, get him down to maybe 18 years. So, and that's if, he, starts good behavior right now, right at this point. But, and that's when, Nacho makes a threat on Jimmy's life. And, that's when Jimmy really gets going on his hunt for, the Kettlemans, I should say. So yeah, that's where the episode really kicks off. But before we get into the rest of that main part of the story, I did want to mention the beginning of the episode. It included a bit of a flashback to when his brother Charles, or Chuck, he was a little bit younger, some odd years ago, and it shows him actually coming, and he's actually going to be advising or representing, Jimmy, who is actually in prison, who we find out for a sexual crime pretty much, and they didn't really go into detail about it, but they said something about Jimmy pretty much revealing himself on a roof of a car, not on a roof of a car, but on the sun, through the sunroof or something. I might be getting the details mixed up there, but it was still pretty hilarious. And of course, Jimmy has longer hair and stuff, so it was kind of odd to see. And but yeah, we see how far Chuck would go for Jimmy and stuff like that, and so that was a good flashback. And then also, let's see. I swear I'm forgetting something else, but I apologize if I am. If I am, and you really want me to know, or you really want to be a keyboard warrior and write to me about how stupid I am for forgetting it, then you can leave a comment below. Of course, I appreciate you politely correcting me, of course. But anyway, back with the main story, we see... Oh yeah, okay, I remember now. Let's see, I forget the character's name. I'm still getting used to that. I apologize, guys. Give me a second here. Yeah, Kim. Yeah, that's her name. We see Kim and Saul talking on the phone, and, so I'm kind of wondering, what kind of history they have as well, because it seems like they've known each other for quite a while. I wonder if she could be a potential romantic connection for Saul, or Jimmy, I mean. It's possible. I could kind of see it going that way to a certain degree, but I don't know. It's not about that, but if it happens, hey, we'll see. Anyway, so the rest of the episode goes on, of course, generic statement by me, And it's really good because we see, like I said, Jimmy having conscience, and not only does he have like a little bit of conscience on how his life is in danger, so he's like really rushing around and trying to, pull on any strings he can, pretty much. And what he does is he actually confronts the detectives who looked around at the house where the Kettlemans were supposedly kidnapped, and in case they missed something. And that was kind of funny, and then they stand in the living room and they're just like, did we miss something? So did we miss anything? Or what did we miss? And then he just like keeps walking. But Jimmy and Kim, search the rooms of the house, like the son's room, the daughter's room, and stuff like that. And Jimmy actually notices that the doll is missing, and he sort of like questions why, if they're like forcibly taken, why would the doll be gone? Why would like the daughter likely have the doll with her? Why would the criminal or the kidnapper care if she had it or not? And the detectives try to say, oh yeah, because the criminal probably wanted to shut her up, so he gave her the doll, which was, kind of possible too. And, so, it's interesting that Jimmy, I call myself there, was actually picking up on that stuff, so he's a pretty intelligent guy in and out of the courtroom, really. And, we see him talking to Kim, sort of trying to get the idea into her head as well, and he tries to get her to talk to Hamilton, I believe that's his name, the like rival lawyer at the company, at the firm. Hamlin. Okay, I was close. You gotta give me some credit there, cut me some slack. We're only 3 episodes in. But anyway, he tries to get her to go to Hamlin and sort of, work with that, and towards getting Nacho out of there and stuff. But message on Facebook, and she can't really do that because of course with the history they have between them, they can't really work that out. But she actually, I think, believes him, and she actually picked up on that something was wrong the other night, because on the phone call I mentioned earlier, she had like noticed when Saul slipped and said the Kettlemans would be in danger. And, when he called and gave him that warning on the phone as well, he, like, the little gesture I make here, I don't know what it is. But anyway, and then so she sort of, like, keeps on pressing him about that. Then he actually tells her he knew something like this was going to happen, basically. And, so she kind of gets wrapped up in it, too. So that's good. Well, as a viewer. Yeah. Alright, anyway, so this is what happens when you have Facebook open while you're recording a video. I apologize, guys. But, so that's all good, and we'll get down to the final meat of the episode, and that has to do with, Saul sort of, like, rushing out of the courtroom, and, his life is in danger. And, I'm sort of going out of order here. I mean, because the person who originally gives him the idea that the Kettlemans weren't kidnapped, and that leads him to the doll and stuff like that, is actually Mike Trout himself, and our character from Breaking Bad as well, who we've seen at the gate for the past couple episodes, with the stickers and stuff like that, which have been hilarious, by the way. He actually sort of sticks up and stands up for Saul and sort of defends how it could actually be possible, to the other detectives, and that's what leads him to the house. So I apologize for really going out of order there, but Jimmy and Breaking Bad, Jimmy and Mike have a conversation, and Mike sort of tells him a story about how he has like these sets, or like basically these sets for different cases and stuff like that. Oh yeah, the Kettlemans are definitely these people who are basically staging that there is a kidnapping so they can get through what they want and get the money they want and stuff like that, and basically weasel through this whole thing in their own little polite family way. So I'm explaining it in a really weird way, but you guys know what I mean. You watch the episode, so deal with it. Anyway, I apologize if I'm not really the best at explaining everything, but I tried to go through it really quickly and comment on it and stuff like that. I apologize if it's not the greatest. I know it isn't, but I'm just a reviewer having fun. So yeah, so it's really cool that we got that scene with Mike. And right before I watched that scene, I was talking to my dad, who actually watches it with me. This stuff with Mike is really kind of funny and stuff like that. And, it's good to see him because Mike was one of his favorites from the original show. And we were just saying I can't wait for Mike to become a little bit more involved in the actual story part of it. And this is exactly what happened. So I look forward to other things like this going down with Mike. Maybe he gets a little bit physical and sort of brought back into the world himself. That could happen down the line too. And again, I went out of order. So they go to the house. They look through the doll. He talks to Kim and stuff like that. And sort of something just sort of clicks with Jimmy. And he actually goes to the Kettlemans' house. He stays there. Then he sort of starts walking into the backyard and goes down this trail through the desert area, and then he goes into this wooded forest type of area, and he's looking around, and then it hits nighttime, and then as he's finally starting to leave, he notices a tent. He's seen a drawing or a picture of it back at the house, so he sees this tent, and of course the Kettlemans are inside the tent. So Mike was in fact right. And he basically calls. Who did he call on the phone? I forget, but he basically it's the detectives actually, I think, or the cops. I forget who it was. It could have been Kim. I forget who it was. I apologize. But he calls, and then he basically lets them hear who the Kettlemans doing their clapping and stuff like that. Their little, I forget what chants they were doing, but little kid gestures and games and stuff like that. And Jimmy actually goes up to the tent, and he unzips it, and he says, "Here's Jimmy," or does he say "Here's Jimmy" or "Here's Johnny"? I think he said "Here's Johnny." But why don't we listen to it real quick? Actually, no, we don't need to. But you guys know what I mean. I'm pretty sure he said "Here's Johnny," and so it was fun. And he called him red-handed, and he starts trying to pull the bag away from Mrs. Kettleman, of course. And he's sort of yelling Kettleman and stuff like that, but it's pretty funny. And of course the strap breaks and the bag falls on the bottom of the tent, and we see all this money. They actually had the money with them, of course. The Kettlemans being as intelligent as they are, and it's pretty much all the proof they need right there. And Jimmy actually did the right thing, unlike his later self in Breaking Bad. So it's pretty much the end of the episode. Really good one. I enjoyed it all the way through. Seeing a bit of Jimmy's, sort of detective work, basically. And, I like seeing expanded, scenes with him and Kim. It's kind of interesting. I'm still interested in their history and where they could go and stuff like that. And I like the flashback, the flashback with Chuck at the beginning. And, yes, the show just has a really good mix of, humor and, some flashes of decent drama as well, which I'm sure will increase the higher the stakes get and such. But I think it's a really great show. It's off to a great start, and I'm really excited about it. I'm definitely having a lot more confidence in it than I did originally before the show started, and every episode's just been really something. It's been entertaining all the way through. So there's my weekly review for Better Call Saul this week. I don't really rate episodes if you guys haven't noticed, but this is a very solid one, so I'd give it an 8 or a 9. I save a lot of the 9.5 and 10s for, of course, very special big stuff. But I'd at least give this one an 8.5 at the very least, and or an 8.5 or an 8 at the very least. So I'll catch you guys next time for the next episode of Better Call Saul, and what other videos will come before that as well, which of course includes The Walking Dead and different things like that. So I also apologize for my lack of Black Sails review for this week. I've just started rewatching FX's The Strain with my dad, and you guys know I reviewed every episode of season 1 of that show. And we're juggling a lot of shows right now. I mean, we're watching Better Call Saul together, we're watching The Walking Dead, we're watching Gotham, we were watching Black Sails, we're going to be watching Vikings when that comes back Thursday night. And, so we're just kind of handling off things with, his work schedule and me going to school and stuff like that. It's been kind of hard to, watch all of them, so I'll have time for other things we need to do. So I apologize for my lack of black sales this week or this weekend, but I'm not really sure if I'm gonna be able to review it every week now. Having watched the episode from this past weekend yet. I will catch up on it at some point, and if I don't catch up in time, I may just end up doing like a season 2 general review if I go so long without reviewing it. But yeah, we'll see. I apologize for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Better Call Saul, and I'll catch you guys next time. And peace. I really like this shirt. I think it fits.